Continuing on in our investigation of the partial collapse of the former Pfizer building in New York City, some surprising new revelations from the engineer behind the project have surfaced. All right, so yesterday, a couple of the local news media up in New York City gave us some updates, and one of them actually published a couple of pages from the floor plan. And I don't know how they got it, because usually the New York Department of Buildings doesn't put that stuff online. They must have gotten it through a Freedom of Information Act request. So in this update, I'm going to show you some of the evidence from these floor plans here. It's actually convicting evidence here that shows who screwed up. So as you recall, in my first video here on the Pfizer building partial collapse last week, I mentioned, it could be anybody's mistakes or a combination of mistakes. I said it could be the engineer, it could be the contractor, but in this case, it's looking more and more like it's shifting to the contractor based on what the engineer came out and said here. Here's another one of the articles here from the Gothamist, and these guys are the ones that actually produced the floor plan. So here they interviewed the engineer, and he says the crucial reinforcing steel was never installed. And that's sort of what I alleviated to last week. If you remember on my first video, something looks out of place here. I already don't like this. I don't know if that's a mistake in the engineering or if it was a mistake in the contractor's part where they didn't beef up these columns enough. But in my opinion, these are missing some kind of jacketing to make these I-beam columns into nice square box beam columns. You can see here they gave some excerpts here from the floor plan, so I want to take a look at some. Okay, so I have the photo here of the 21st floor plan from the Gothamist, trying to match this to the angle that we normally see it at. See, here is that 21st floor, and we know that it's at the corner of the building, and that it's just offset in a little bit from the edge, and then the other column is here. This is the first column, the second column, and then there's a little L shape, a little window. So we have to match this sort of footprint on the floor plan. So when I'm looking at it here, I don't see anything that looks like that. I think we have to rotate this around. Okay, so now when we look at it, I think this is where we were looking head on in that picture. So you have the corner of the building here, and then a little bit of a straightaway, and then that little bit of a left-hand jog, and then it keeps going straight. So I then believe then that the two columns that failed were these two, this one right here, and this one right here. So I believe this would be F3 and F4 on the floor plan. So this is really the only one on this entire building that makes sense, is that it would be these two here that failed. See, there it is on the corner of the building, and then the straight area, and then that left jog right there. As I mentioned last week, from this picture provided by the New York Fire Department, this was taken from a drone outside the building, it doesn't look to me like this I-beam had been plated all the way around. And so as we examine one of those sections of the floor plan that they released here from the Gothamist, this right here shows your typical column reinforcement plan. So this was not something that was overlooked by the engineers, and I never thought that it would have been. My assumption from the beginning was always that the contractors blew it, because this is always where mistakes happen, is the contractors don't follow the floor plans. Okay, so they've got 4 different columns here. There's an interior column, an exterior column, a corner column, and a continuous reinforcement at the column differential. Now, the columns that buckled were these here. They were exterior columns, the 1B. And so if you look at it, you can see it says existing column, and they're pointing here. And this is exactly what I pointed out last week, where I said this was an I-beam column that had not been plated around and wrapped around and all that. It just didn't look jacketed to me. And certainly you can tell by his plan here, the engineer's plan, that it is definitely not jacketed when you compare this to the actual photographs of the close-ups that we can at least glean from the partial collapse of the Pfizer headquarters building during this renovation, where they were converting it into 1,600 condominiums. So now if you look closely here, this is a view, bird's eye view, looking down on the top of the column. And this right here, this line is the building face. So it's the exterior of the building. And the column sits in probably an inch or two from the glass. And so here it says add, and I don't know if that means backplate as required. I'm not sure what the back PL stands for. But you're supposed to add that as a reinforcement here on the corners when you add these plates. You see that? And then same thing on the other side as well. And here he's referring to different thicknesses that have to be used. So the thickness of the stiffening plates here on this side they appear to be about double the thickness of the I-beams. And so this is what was supposed to have been done, and it wasn't done. And so when you look here at the welding instructions, I believe that 2 next to the 12 there, I believe that means 2 inches of welding every 12 inches going all the way down the column. And now keep in mind that this is what you might see typically when they bolster up a concrete column. These might even be plates over I-beams. I'm not sure. This is a sort of a rendering from a company that does this, and we're not exactly sure if this is what it was supposed to look like all the way down or not, because it wasn't specified in that one drawing that we have there what it should have looked like from the side view. But I would imagine that they want welding going down every couple of inches all the way down the column. And so when the Gothamist interviewed the engineer, he said right here, the reinforcement from the 19th floor to the top of the 21st floor, which would have significantly increased the column strength, was never installed. Behan said in a written statement. So he had, I guess he must have sent them an email or something. I have not seen his original official statement, which I would like to get a copy of just to make sure here. But he says the structure was not reinforced as Gase's design required. So Gase is the engineering firm behind this building. And so they've, of course, done a number of projects all over the place there. And so as far as I know, none of their buildings have collapsed, so they must be pretty good at their jobs. Now, since my first video here on this Pfizer headquarters partial collapse, boatloads of you have left comments saying, this is a really dumb idea. Why would you want to take an old building like this that was built, I don't know, some people say 1905, 1960, whatever, whenever it was originally built? Why would you take an old building like that and stack extra floors on top of a building that wasn't designed for it? They said, that's a dumb idea. It's not safe. Well, it turns out it is perfectly safe. They do this all the time. You can do it as long as you bolster up all of those columns where needed on the lower levels. And that's indeed what the engineer called out for here on this design, but it appears that it was never done. And this is not surprising to me, because those of you who follow this channel, and you guys have followed all of my videos on the Champlain Towers South condo collapse in the Miami suburb of Surfside, Florida, here back in 2021, that's the 12-story condo that collapsed on itself. And there we found numerous cases where the contractor did not follow the plans in the floor plans there. They did not follow the instructions. And one of the classic ones in there was that the engineer told the Champlain Tower contractor in the floor plan, you have to bury the rebar 3/4 of an inch into the concrete. And you know what they did? They buried the rebar 2.5 inches into the concrete. The deeper you bury the rebar, the more the concrete can bend, so it's weaker, not stronger. I know your kind of intuitive thinking might be, hey, if we put rebar in the middle of the concrete, it should make it stronger. That's where you're supposed to put it. No, you put it closer to the edge where it adds more of that strength, that resistance to the bending like this. So that was one mistake. And another mistake that the Champlain Towers builder made that they had pointed out was that the floor plans called for, a certain number of crisscrossing rebar rods to go over every column for support. And in some cases, they only put 2 when there should have been 4 or more in certain areas. So it is quite common for the contractors, when they're building a building, to make mistakes or errors of omission or ignore certain parts of the floor plan, whether it's to save money. I mean, who knows? I think in general, everybody wants to kind of do their job correctly and not have a mistake. Nobody wants to see a building collapse. So was this an error of omission? Why did this only happen on 3 floors? Did it happen on other floors? Did they need to go back now and check every single column going all the way down? And even worse, now, does the City of New York Department of Buildings have to go and start looking at all of the other buildings that this developer has built Because was it a cost-saving measure? Were they cutting corners? Was it a simple one-time mistake only on this project? Do they have to start digging into the people's drywall? You know, this is what they did at Champlain Towers North. Okay, because after the towers south collapsed, they had to go into the Champlain Towers north, and they had to start doing all sorts of drilling cores out of people's units. They had to tear down the drywall and the columns going through their units, and they had to take core samples out of those. And it can be very, very nerve-wracking for the people that live there. Okay, so this is another chart that they released from the floor plans. Now, this is common. You see this in all floor plans. This is called the column schedule, and this is where the damning evidence lies, folks, because here's the building, and when you zoom in on it, I'm going to show you what it shows here on this column schedule. So across the top is the particular columns that are in the building, and then you have the floor that it's on. So okay, yeah, so this is the roof, 37th floor, 36th, 35th, 34, 33, all the way down the building, right? And it comes all the way down, and let me zoom in even more so you can see. So this right here is the cellar, the first floor, the mezzanine, second, third, fourth, fifth, etc. But when you look right here, this is where it gets a little dicey. The shaded areas that you see here are the columns that are supposed to be jacketed, retrofitted, reinforced for this design in order for it to support the extra weight of all of those upper floors above the 19th floor, which I believe was where this older section of the building ended, and all of these other ones are newer. And maybe it might even be the 21st. The reports were all over the map on these, but you get the idea. So when you come back here and look, you see this, the 7th floor on this particular column and the 8th floor had to be reinforced. I don't know why on this column that the 7th and 8th floor didn't have to be reinforced. But from the time you start on the 9th floor up, they all had to be reinforced, going all the way up to the 21st floor. You see that? Boom. So all of these columns had to be reinforced, the ones that are shaded, wherever you see shaded columns. And then as you back out, and so this is the 22nd floor right here. From here on up, you don't have to reinforce because that's all new material. These are all new columns and steel structure, and those are designed by the engineers to withstand the weight all up above it. So that's what they're talking about here. So when you come and look at the legend, see, the shaded area here, it says denotes existing columns to be reinforced per details on drawings, and I think it says 5-807 maybe or something like that. But they didn't furnish that, but you get the idea. And then they have a legend here, so whatever numbers appear on here or give additional information. But that's what a column schedule does. It gives the contractor, the builder, at a glance, everything they need to know of which columns are needing to be reinforced or not reinforced. And so this is the part where somebody dropped the ball right here. The 19th floor through the 21st floor. There was 3 floors that these particular columns did not get reinforced. Now, what I don't know is, did they fail to reinforce these other columns down here? Somebody's got to check all the way down. And then likewise, in the other side of the building where it was taller, they need to go check these floors because they had to be reinforced all the way up to, like, I don't know, the 33rd floor, the original height over here. See, and every building has them. So I got this copy here of the original Champlain Towers South condo right here. This was their floor plans. And on page 34 out of 336, you can see here, they have a beam schedule that lists all of the beams. And then on the next page, they have also, see, there's their column schedule. Now, their columns, since they weren't made out of steel, these were made out of concrete. What they're indicating here is the amount of rebar rods and how thick they have to be. So 8 number 8s and 8 number 8s, 8 number 9s, 8 number 10s. So the closer you get to the ground floor, those columns have to support more concrete above them. So that's why you'll see that the thickness of the rebar rods gets thicker and thicker as you go to the bottom. And you cannot skip any of these. There's got to be somebody poring over those documents. And you know what? Just like I mentioned on the last video, They really need to hire, and I would probably hire not one, but two separate PE licensed engineers to come in and look over their shoulders. And I know they probably have a special inspector assigned, but somebody missed it. And if I'm the engineer of record and I designed a building like this, I would want to know that these guys are plating these columns up. They should have definitely done that. I want to see those reinforcements. And I would probably send somebody from the firm to go check on that every now and then and make sure that they are indeed plating these beams and columns wherever needed. And another thing too is when you're doing something like this, I think safety of the site like this belongs to everybody. We should start educating even the lowest end guys on the totem pole there, the guys that are doing all the riveting and stuff. We should tell them too. They should know, hey, these columns need to be plated, and if they're not, everybody should let us know, and let's pass it up to management. And even though there should be an inspector, this should not have gotten by anybody, you know. And man, we're at a loss trying to figure out how this could have gotten past so many people like this. Bringing together everything here in this update, the investigation here is showing, again, the reinforcement mandate that was in the floor plans, like I mentioned. So you had the original I-beam look like this, but 13 stories of this required this box jacketing, as I've mentioned, but so the plates that go all the way around. And the city-approved plans required this. It says right there, the I-shaped steel columns to be reinforced with steel plates. And then also, remember, this was done to support the adding of these stories, these additional stories. Yes, it can be done. It's done all the time. If it's done right, it should be doable. So this was meant to also support the widening of the building, because from the 22nd floor up, the building is wider. And remember, that creates this cantilever effect that I mentioned and talked about for you on the previous video on this collapse. And so the 21st floor columns were subject to this localized twisting and leverage due to the outward widening of the building. Yeah, so your cantilever forces are going to want to go like this, inward on your 21st floor columns. And then, of course, there was the question that came up of the welding concerns where somehow, somewhere along the line, they were mentioning that there was supposed to be 2-inch welds, that there was a 2-inch weld specification of 2 inches every foot. But some engineers were arguing that, you know what, maybe the weld should have been continuous all the way down the corner of these columns instead of a 2-inch weld every 12 inches. Because is that 2-inch weld really enough? Wouldn't a continuous weld going up the corner be even stronger? The 21st floor deformation was far more severe than expected for correctly reinforced columns. It was a total failure, essentially, there. This is always the danger on a construction site, is the plan versus reality. And so the Department of Buildings has yet to confirm if the box jacketing was actually completed as designed. And in fact, they deleted a complaint blaming the incident on failure to provide steel reinforcement. That was with the original complaint on their website, but then they removed it, saying it was inaccurate entry by a staff member. Okay, and then there's now going to be scrutiny of these special inspection agencies. These are agencies that are supposed to catch potential discrepancies in the reinforcement installation. Of course, now you have the criminal side of the probe here. So the Manhattan District Attorney's Office and the Department of Investigation are requesting records, and they're going to determine if possible breakdown in the safety process has occurred. So that's quite a bit of info to take in, and there's probably going to be a lot more to come too. And by the way, if you haven't seen my first video that I did last week here on this partial collapse of the Pfizer building, check it out right over here. And if you want to see another really good informative video that I released a few weeks ago on the NIST investigation onto the cause of the Champlain Tower South, you can check it out right over here. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.